I start the remote scan. So we're live on YouTube, by the way. Not that I'm suggesting anyone from Instagram goes to YouTube, but in case you do want to go to YouTube. But I'm doing this for the purpose of having a guaranteed replay, because sometimes, Instagram may just go, no, this is too much bandwidth for your page. So I'm running YouTube for that reason. And by the way, my hair looks a lot better on Instagram than YouTube right now. It's just a different angle. Too much sun today. There's never too much sun. All right, my dear. Without further ado, are you ready to have your subconscious mind scanned? And do you give me permission to do so?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. And you can at any time ask me questions, and I will pause maybe to ask questions or to ask if it resonates. But once again, no expectations, complete surrender, and just allow yourself to be fully present. So, and anyone else listening, just hold space for her. And if you feel like you resonate, continue to hold space. And during the downloads, you're more than welcome to receive, just as long as you do it in a way where you're still holding space for this beautiful soul. All right, my dear. So let's take a couple deep breaths. So initially, if you feel like breathing deep into your belly first, start with a nice deep breath into your belly. And then when you get to the top of that breath, I want you to just hold it and then release and let go whenever you're ready. Release and let go whenever you're ready. And as soon as you are ready to take another deep breath, I want you to breathe in, this time into your heart. Nice deep breath into your heart. And when you get to the top of that breath, hold. Take in a little bit more through your nose. And release whenever you're ready. And I want you to make the conscious choice to always breathe in and out of your nose normally. Breathing in and out of your nose normally, just how you usually breathe. Breathing in and out of your nose normally. Found a better way. Okay, so at any point, if you need to take another deep breath, go ahead and do so. But if you want to return to your normal breathing pattern, go ahead and return to your normal breathing pattern. So I'm just going to ask your higher self, what is it that we need to know right now that's in your highest and best? So continue breathing in and out of your nose normally. So right away, I pick up that you're saying that you've been feeling trapped, like that you feel like there's some old emotions that you're not able to process, and there's like this blockage in your solar plexus. Does that resonate?
I know I feel blocked, but I don't know where.
I wasn't sure if you know where, but I'm picking up your solar plexus. I mean your heart as well, but let's see. It's like you feel the need to clear, but you just like you said, you don't know like where it is, and you keep wanting, like it's like you have this like nagging feeling you need to release, but you're having a hard time figuring out the how to release, when to release, all of that. Okay, so let me see what we need to know, what we need to do. It's tied to your worthiness, and you're saying like this has been going on for too long, like I don't want to keep looping, like what do I need to do? And you've been becoming aware, like you're becoming aware of patterns, like more aware than before, but you're also kind of like irritated and annoyed that you're catching yourself going into old patterns. And it's almost like this loop where you're like, I'm catching the old patterns, but then I also see myself repeating them. But then it's like, because you're giving so much attention to the old patterns, you end up like attracting the same cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You keep asking yourself, like, what am I willing to let go? Like, what am I willing to let go? What do I not know? And it's interesting because you literally just said earlier, I don't know what. Okay, let me ask. I'm picking up your throat chakra too, which is tied to your solar plexus. You're trying to step into a deeper truth, and it's like you're trying to speak and use your voice more, but you feel like there's a hesitation. Does that resonate?
Yeah, with my profession, yeah.
That's what I felt. I felt like with your writing, is being an author something you do professionally, or there's something else you do?
Yeah, there's technically 3 jobs I have right now. So like one job that I'm trying to reduce or whatever, that I feel trapped in my day-to-day job at my LLC, and then a children's book author I'd like to expand.
Okay. So it seems like it's kind of across the board. It's not just like the book. It's like everything, and you're kind of spread a bit thin, and you're trying to figure out what is the priority, like what you should do first, which arena, which angle you should focus on more. So what's coming through is you're focusing too much on the external, trying to like find the answers in the external, but it's the inner truth that needs to come into alignment. Because once your inner truth is in alignment, and that has to do with because here's the thing: if you have a hard time using your voice more authentically, or feeling like there's hesitation, then once again, throat chakra, solar plexus, and initially I picked up on solar plexus because solar plexus, having a hard time making decisions, fear of speaking my truth, fear of being judged, fear of not being accepted, any kind of old beliefs of like old anger, old whatever, abuse, old resentment, resistance, all of that is solar plexus. So as the solar plexus comes into alignment, it's easier for the throat chakra to come into alignment, because if there is fear to speak your truth, then just doing healing for the throat chakra is not enough. That's why I have a whole 8 chakras course that I created specifically to help people balance all of their energy centers. And that's another thing I don't talk about enough. I'm going to start to talk about it more. And throat chakra. and that is part of my Heal and Manifest program. So if it's something, like I know you want to do a past life regression, but we could totally like have that conversation like at another time outside of this, and see like what's in your highest and best. But just to like, for anyone else curious, and for you, obviously, doing the healing in the order of like starting with the root chakra. So for example, throat chakra, and then what's after that? Third eye, right? What's before that? Heart. So if you don't resolve old programs that are tied to your solar plexus, root chakra, what is root chakra? I don't feel safe. I don't feel like I belong. So if you don't feel safe, you don't feel like you belong, how are you going to feel safe to make decisions? Solar plexus. How are you going to feel worthy? Sacral chakra. How are you going to have healthy boundaries? How are you going to feel safe to express yourself freely, creatively, not just your thoughts and feelings, but your desires? How are you going to be able to say no without feeling guilty if you don't do the sacral chakra, which is also tied to your throat chakra? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why it's like we start with the root chakra, then we move up. And then, so by the time you get to your throat chakra, you're like, okay, like I'm ready to receive true communication. So it's not just about being able to speak your truth, but to be able to receive true communications, and not just from others, but from yourself. Because your higher self could be like, do this, do that. And you're like, huh, what? Like, what? I don't like, is like, I don't, where's that? Like, and then question, and then hard time making a decision. And then earlier one-on-one session I had with a client, she's been continuously looping, and that's what we're trying to get her away from. And she literally canceled a therapy session today because she realized that all she does with her therapist is continuously talking about the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, whatever you're investing into that, you're choosing how much, like, we can talk about it until the cows come home, but until we completely reprogram the subconscious, the root cause, you're going to keep looping. And you're not going to be able to receive the true communications from yourself. And so she has these like huge moments of clarity, but they don't last because she doesn't have the ability to discern between fear and intuition. So the moment's like, oh my gosh, I have an intuitive hit, but then goes into overthinking. There must be a reason I'm telling you this. Goes into overthinking. There's never just a story. There's a reason for every story. And then she goes into the overthinking. And then what happens? Overthinking leads to what? To anxiety, to fear of the unknown future, because anxiety is literally fear of the unknown future, because the left brain only knows that which it's already experienced in this dimension and time, in this physical 3D reality. Okay. And so if you experience a certain an event, okay, and like, I always give this example. I don't know. I always say Aries, maybe because I'm Libra and Aries is like my opposite. But like, let's say you dated a guy who was an Aries and it was absolutely awful. So the next time you meet an Aries, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's another Aries. That's what's going to happen again. No, thank you. Well, guess what? Because you said that, and because you used your past like, you cemented the past as the program that you expect to happen, you now brought that into the future. And so now your ego is going to be like, we want to be right. Oh my God, he is just like that other Aries. Do you see? And that happens, like, this is like, no analogy is perfect, but this happens with every situation. We do that with everything, It's like, if you think like, okay, I'm writing this book, but like, oh my God, I should have made time for this other thing. I didn't get up early enough. Well, the last time I got up, I was tired. So maybe I should do yoga and you just go, yeah, because I wrote a book. I haven't published it because I feel like I need to write my second one before I publish this one. So that way I could do like a quicker release and not make people wait, and divine timing. But when I wrote that book, thankfully, in my business, I had the luxury to unplug my Wi-Fi and only focus on the book. The morning I woke up, I'm living, breathing my book and some food and water to keep me going. That's it. And there was and like a month and a half, 280 pages done. But how was I able to do this? Because I went through major inner child healing, which had to do with healing my sacral chakra, which resulted in no more period pain, which I've had my whole life, which resulted in healthier boundaries, and most importantly, resulted in being able to express myself easily and effortlessly. And what is that? Throat chakra opening up and words just channeling out, and the book just coming together without me forcing it. So that's where I feel like you are. You are like, you just need like more recalibration and integration and coming in, so that 80% of the work is done internally, because that's how it should be. It should be done internally so that the external world is mirroring your internal. Do you meditate at all, like here and there?
Here and there, yeah.
But not like consistently?
No.
Okay. So you do need some accountability. You do need to, even, here's the thing, it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, like it has to be 20 minutes or I'm not doing it. I always talk about taking imperfect action. So let's say you only have 2 minutes, you only have 5 minutes, better than nothing. Better than nothing. So let me see, anything you want to add or ask before I do the next scan?
Not yet.
Okay. Anything I'm saying, like, oh my God, aha moments?
Yeah, just the indecision and everything. So.
Guess where indecision stems from?
The root.
Yes, but mostly solar plexus. Of course, if the root is out of balance, you don't feel safe, but the decision making comes solar plexus. Solar plexus is your center of confidence, courage, being able to easily make decisions. And what's the first thing I picked up on? Solar plexus. So let's see. Yeah, I keep hearing you go. I feel like I'm moving sideways, like I'm not making progress in anything because you're spread thin and you're multitasking. So let me ask, what do you need to know right now? Because the whole point is initial scanning is to see like what are the issues, but then the whole point is to find out like what we need to do, right? I'm picking up you had some trauma in your childhood where it was hard for you to make decisions, like you didn't feel safe making decisions, and also picking up like you were given responsibility too early, like you weren't fully capable of making the decisions, you weren't fully equipped to make the decisions that were bestowed upon you, like you were given choices that you weren't ready to handle. Does that make sense? Am I picking? Go ahead.
Think of thing that.
Let's keep talking through it, because what happens sometimes is I'm picking up on other lifelines. So it may not be this particular lifeline, but that's coming in really strongly. Like you were given, let me ask. I'm picking up like you were always trying to please others, like doing things, like trying to take care of people, but not fully taking care of yourself.
I've always felt that, but I felt like I didn't really know where it came from.
So let's ask. Yeah, there's definitely, it's like you're like, I haven't found my place yet. Like I'm still like, it's like you feel like you've kind of just been floating through time and space, and you haven't fully felt grounded, and hence why you said root earlier, right? Let's see. I'm hearing, if I make the decision to trust, how do I know I will not be betrayed? What does this remind you of?
I guess just like growing up and not having anyone like really close to me, or thinking that relationships, like I value them more than others value the relationship. So I've had like trust issues, especially with women. Like I really, like my husband's my best friend. So.
Yeah, I'm hearing the less I say, the better. Like, it's like, you're like, I don't want to be judged. Most people don't understand me. What's the point? So it's kind of like it's like you're keeping to yourself, but at the same time, that's doing what? Your ability to express your thoughts, feelings, and desires.
That in my current day-to-day job, where I felt like I've been there almost 20 years, and that's like three separate times I've like contemplated like leaving, but I didn't want to leave until I had like another job lined up or anything. So I got blamed for something that they thought I said, but that's not what I said. And so I got called out in a staff meeting, And even though that was like, so definitely lack of trust, even though he says he doesn't trust me, but I just feel like I'm not saying anything. This is just a job. I'm here for my patients. Like I'd talk more with my patients than I do to the other staff.
Okay, so let me see what we need to know about that.
And that's the one.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
To do my stuff. Like, yeah, I'm trying to do my other stuff so that I can work there less.
So I may have said this earlier, but there's always a reason, that it comes up, or sometimes it's presented in a different light. And what's interesting, like some of the remote viewings I've done, whether it was Clubhouse audio app, whether it's here on Instagram, whatever I pick up on, sometimes it doesn't always make sense. And then like by the time we uncover more stuff, all of a sudden, oh wait, it just like it loops back and connects. But everything, as you are already aware, externally is a reflection of your internal world. So the program of like, I rather keep to myself with friends, and my husband's my best friend, it's like sort of a similar energy with this job. It's like I just rather keep to myself. Just, did you say patients? So is it like hospital or like?
I work in a dental office. Dental hygiene.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and it's interesting, dental, throat chakra, teeth, root causes, root causes. Yeah, because I don't know, there's actually a book called Root Causes, like how our teeth literally hold certain old belief programs. Like for example, if somebody has like bleeding gums, it's because they're not able to speak their truth. When I broke up with my ex, he was literally like, he's like, my gums are bleeding. I'm like, yeah, because you're not speaking your truth. But of course, like back then I wasn't as aligned as I am now. So I didn't say that particular, but I still knew he was lying. So, and so, yeah, bleeding gums, it's like not being able to speak your truth. But then the whole point is to find out like why, like what is causing the person. In his case, people go, oh, well, he's a narcissist. Well, what's a narcissist? A wounded child, right? An adult who never healed their wounded child. And so they continue to project, and they end up gaslighting because it's difficult for them to process pain. So the gaslighting is like pointing the finger back and saying, no, you did this. No, I didn't do that. Or something's wrong with you. You're creating a story. So, okay, let me see what else we need to know. Yeah, and I'm hearing that your soul is telling me that you see things that most people don't. Like you're sensitive, but once again, you don't share. Sometimes you may tell your husband, but there's certain things you haven't fully tapped into that you have this like inkling that you could. But once again, there's fear of like really surrendering, because what is that? That's like aligning to your highest truth. And I'm willing to bet it has to do with past lives where you were probably a healer. Like so many people come to me that have had so many past lives as a healer, and they were punished. Like I myself personally experienced that. And because they were punished for, just felt like huge goosebumps coming down. And so they were punished for doing something to help others. And because they were punished for that, they're afraid to now use those powers. They're afraid to tap into that lifeline, because the whole point of doing past life regression isn't just about releasing past life trauma that is continuing to loop and keep you stuck in this lifeline. Because once again, whether you believe in the past or not doesn't matter, because all timelines exist at the same time. They're just parallel dimensions. And so your soul doesn't understand time. And so, for example, the man I healed from terrible chronic leg pain that nobody, no physio, no chiro could help for over 3 years, in one session, 2 past lives released. One, he was shot in that same leg. One was a battle, a spear was put through, and 90% of the pain instantly gone in that one session, right? And that was what I communicate with the soul to make sure it understands, hey, that trauma happened in this other dimension. You do not have to keep replaying it and living out that pain in this one, right? But the whole point we keep experiencing this dimension of time is because as humans, we are learning through what? Through pain. But the whole point is to ascend beyond the pain, to learn from it. And if we resist the learning, if we resist surrendering and accepting the pain so that we can learn from it, then what happens? We keep repeating it, right? And so that's why it's important to come into alignment with all of our energy centers so that we can release whatever old programs we need to release. And then what I was going to say earlier, so it's not just about releasing old belief programs that no longer serve you in this timeline, because we release the past so you can be fully present in the now. But what is the other huge important reason to do past life regression is to bring in whatever skills that you need from that dimension of time into this one. Like I think I posted some on my stories. Every single healing I've done has been so much more powerful than anything I've done over the past 5.5 years of being a healer, because I personally went through more past life healings. We're talking just this past recent winter, dark, like when they say the winter is coming, they're not joking. In Scotland, it's like dark and it's like you're like a bear hibernating, okay? And then one of my clients who was just on recently, she was out here with me. She became a dear friend, so she came out and spent the holidays, and we went to North Berwick. And North Berwick, I found out I had a really traumatic past life there. It ended really well, but it started really traumatic. I mean, it was five years old being thrown into a dungeon because I had like these supernatural powers. And so it was just incredible when I released that trauma. I literally felt like the surge of energy, like lifting me up. I almost felt like I like started to float, because then I heard source say, you've been activated, you've been upgraded. And then that was January and end of December. And then another layer of trauma was healed in January with one of my deep Scottish twin flames. Okay. And then that lifeline with him was also very happy, but the trauma didn't come up until I was ready to heal it. So not everything comes up right away. Like things will come in a way that your soul is ready to receive. So that's why it's like when I tell people like, okay, when you do the 8 chakras course, like don't do all the sessions in 1 week. Don't, like, give it 3 to 4 sleeping cycles. Okay. Because you need time to process. And so when more trauma, even as recent as right before I went to Spain recently, I went to get craniosacral therapy for the first time. First 5 minutes, he's working on me. I kid you not, I'm bawling, like tears, because I instantly tap in because craniosacral is, I don't know enough how they do it, but I can understand it. It is energetic. There's an account that I follow. She works on babies, and literally she just like taps. You've probably seen them. She like does like this little tap, and the baby just starts like doing this because they experienced some kind of like trauma during birth and they got stuck in a certain way, whether they went through the birth canal or not. And if you don't go through the birth canal, there's certain trauma that you need to heal. So we continue to carry this, whether we're adults. I worked with 80-year-olds who still carry the trauma from their childhood if they never healed it. And they continue to repeat the trauma unless they're willing to heal it. And some of them are diagnosed as schizophrenic, but they're not. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're diagnosed as schizophrenic because they haven't fully released this other timeline that they continue to loop to. I know I'm covering so many different things all at once, but like, you're good at multitasking. Look, you have like 3 jobs, and like, why am I multitasking? Because I'm dealing with a like I'm mirroring your multitasking energy. So what was I trying to say? So as he's working on me in this like craniosacral therapy session, which I did not have any expectations. I walked in and of course I did downloads for myself. I'm in a line, like no energetic exchanges. This is happening in the highest and best. And as he starts working on me, I'm literally on a yoga mat, and my body starts just like moving to like whichever direction it needs to release, because the body holds trauma, it holds memories, it remembers. And so the body, you have to think of it as an antenna that is showing you, like if you start to feel jaw pain, like resistance, like, and you do this and you're like, something stuck, it's because there's something you're resisting. There's like a resistance. You work in the dental office, you probably pick up on that. And so I kid you not, within 5 minutes, I am seeing flashes of like almost every single traumatic way I've died in like multiple past lives, like back to back. I was burnt. I was like back to back to, and I'm just crying. And he's like, just continues to work. But then at the end, he goes, I have never had anyone see past lives during a session. I'm like, well, this is what I do for a living. So like naturally, like I will see that even if I'm just sitting down for like a 5-minute meditation. But I'm telling you, like, there's a way I could find a way to like help his other clients to have that experience. Like his sessions would be like 100 times more powerful. But yeah, it was just, and like the next day I had to fly, and my body was just like, I was uncomfortable on the plane because I could tell things were processing. And then guess what? That was the next upgrade. And then when I got to Spain, one of the places had mold, and I'm so sensitive, I feel it. Even if I walk into a cafe, I could smell, okay, that wall has mold. And my body started to slow down. But what was that doing? My body was forcing me to rest. So I don't go salsa dancing, even though I'm in Spain and I want to go salsa dancing. I ended up going to bed early 2 nights in a row. And then I posted about this. I woke up to like men singing outside my window, like they were hanging on the 4th floor where I was. And then I come to find out they're painting. Like I woke up to literally men hanging outside my window. It was just funny. But so and then that whole process showed me like I'm supposed to go to this other place that's like on a mountain. And what is a mountain? It's like support. It's like male energy. And I get to this place and another layer of healing. It was like a portal. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is because you're never going to experience anything that is not in your highest and best. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to take detours. That doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to keep yourself stuck in looping. At any time, you have the choice to choose to go quicker, to choose to stop the incessant suffering, to choose to release and let go. But most people feel stuck and they don't know how to release and let go because no one teaches us this stuff. So let's see if there's, I feel like as this transmission is coming in, it's like your heart is opening up a bit more. I'm hearing, I want to know more, but sometimes I'm afraid to see. What do you feel you're afraid to see?
Just, I guess, that imposter syndrome of success, and but I feel like I'm ready for things to work, but things just sometimes just don't work out the way I think like they will.
Okay. So we have to remember there's a few things I want to address here. So right before you said that, what I've heard you say, because I said, what was the question I asked? It's like, move so fast, I can't remember. What do you feel like you're afraid to see?
Yeah.
And before you said what you said, I heard my highest potential. And then you literally said the same thing in other words. So, and then you said, because things don't seem to work out for me. Recently, I posted some stories on my Instagram following up a private session I did where my client said, that's my baseline. That's my default. That's the program I always default to, because she heard some therapist, somebody blah, blah, talk about on whatever Instagram or TikTok about the baseline, the default program. Because remember, like, once again, nothing against therapy, but I've had clients for like 10 years of therapy was like nowhere near as helpful as 2 sessions with you. Because what is therapy? Mostly addressing the conscious, the left brain. I need to know how this works. I read this book. I watched this podcast, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I know. Okay, great, you know. But did we make the subconscious conscious? The whole point isn't just to do brain rewiring. Because if the trauma started on an ancestral history level, I don't care how much brain rewiring you do, you're not going to rewire the ancestral program. Okay? Because your soul is like, no, don't, I'm abundant. No, you're not. Look at your bank account. That's what you're, you know what I mean? Because you're so, no. And so what I was saying earlier when you said, but things don't, you have to be careful not to say that. Just like I told my client, I'm like, that's not your default program. Because if you say that's your default program, so on YouTube, it looks like I'm like, there's a portal behind me. Literally, it looks like there's a portal behind me. So if you say this is my default program, if you say that things don't always work out for me, what are you doing?
Manifesting that.
You're rewiring yourself to believe that. You are what you say. You are what you do. You are, most importantly, you are also what you eat. But obviously, like, we can discuss that in many. Anyway, we're not going to go there. It's a whole nother. But you are most importantly what? Most importantly what? What you believe. Okay? Because you are what you say based on your beliefs. Because you say what you believe. If you believe, then you repeat. But what happens is then you say it. What was it? First, there was the word. You say it. Then you make it conscious. Like you just said, things don't work out for me. And what is that doing? That's going, yep, that's what I was told. That's what they said. That's what so-and-so said. My mom said that. I remember watching it in a movie and resonating with it. My neighbor used to say, and then you look for reasons to be right. And you know what's happening in that moment? You almost feel calm because you're like, yeah, that's what I know. And I rather be comfortable in the knowing than in the unknown, because that makes me anxious, because then my left brain goes, no, we don't know this. And someone goes, hey, if you do this course, you're going to, I don't know that because I know this. And this is what makes me comfortable. I'm comfortable with the discomfort. I'm comfortable with telling myself that things don't work out for me, because as long as I do that, I am what?
Safe.
And as long as I'm safe, no one can hurt me. And as long as no one can hurt me, I am safe. And as long as I'm safe. Do you see? And then it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what do we pick up on earlier? You're afraid to see. You're afraid to see because you. And so let me ask why that's happening. Let me tap in and ask. And then for anyone listening, if you would like to go next to have this similar experience as this lovely lady is having. So how do you pronounce? It's not Valerie? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Valerie.
Valerie? Okay, because the way it was spelled, I was like, maybe it's something else. Valerie. It's funny because I'm pretty sure I chose that as my middle name when I became a citizen in America. I don't even know why I chose that, but I was like, I need a V, because my dad's name started with a V, and you don't, it's a patronymic that you have. I don't know, however it's called, but in America you have a middle name. So I'm like, Valerie. So I'm pretty.
It means strength.
Oh my God! You know what's funny? As I was about to say valor, because it's spelled valor,
Valor.
like
Valor. Yeah.
valor. It's interesting because as soon as I wanted to say that, like I literally felt like it means strong, like strong, almost like Viking energy I'm picking up.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's crazy. I picked an American middle name that means strength. Wow. I had it all along. I just didn't know.
You did. It's you knew subconsciously.
That's so crazy because there was a point where I was like, no, I should have picked Victoria. And then like there was a point where I met someone who was not very nice and her name was Victoria. And I was like, good thing I didn't pick that middle name. Okay, so since then I've met very lovely Victorias. But anyway, you know how we associate, like I think my stepdad's wife before my mom, I think her name was Anna. So he was like, and she left him. So obviously we know where that went. So he was like, oh, your daughter's name is Anna. And so it was like competing between, it was like a competition. Okay. So let me see, because I was going to check to see what we need to know. I mean, you literally are named after like strength. So it's like we need, so let me see. Several things I'm picking up on. It's like you have a supportive husband. So there's a part of you that's like, well, I'm used to that dynamic. Like, is that dynamic going to change if I step into more power as a self-actualized author, or whatever it is you want to do?
He jokes that he would work less and retire, and I would do all of that. Like, so I think he's actually encouraging success so that he could like golf and travel.
I mean, that's cool. He's like a conscious aware. Obviously, you're not gonna be like, hey, I'm not gonna wear the pants. Like, you're still gonna take out the trash. You're still gonna be my man. Like, he gets that. But it's funny because I, like, for example, there's a Scottish twin flame who's reappeared right before I flew back to Scotland, and I know for sure that he's intimidated that I make more money than him. And he's not like, he's like that. He uses that as one of his, like, I don't feel worthy of you. It's like, well, then why did you come back? Why are you coming back? Oh, like to see if I have I lost you? But then the moment he realizes there is a chance, he's like, oh, no, I'm scared because what? You're willing to see me and to love me and to be everything that I've ever wanted. I'm not worthy of that. I don't know what to do with that. So what does he need? He needs inner child healing. And I have to decide, do I like have the time and energy to do that? Like, because what's happening? If he feels unworthy, what is that doing to me? I am picking up on his energy of unworthiness. And to be honest, it's starting to turn me off. Like, I'm like, kind of a turn off. Like, the healer in me is like, babe, I can heal you. I haven't called him that yet, but maybe never. Like, I can totally heal you, but at the same time, as a healer, I have to be aware, like, I'm not, like, I can't save the world. So it's like, am I better off with someone who's already done the work on their own? Or is he going to wake up and go, oh my God, like, I can't lose her again? Because in a past life, I was brutally killed in front of him after our children were brutally killed in front of us. And guess what? I was a healer. And the person that killed me was someone that I had healed, who then demanded that I go to their kingdom and heal their king, and I wouldn't leave. And then guess what? So in this lifetime, every time I talk about healings, it's like he has this thing, he's like, well, could you just take a regular job if you couldn't do this anymore? And I'm like, why wouldn't I be able to do this? Like the amount of energy it would take me to go get a job, like, why? Like, this is what I do. But that's the subconscious program. Most people wouldn't understand why he's asking that out of curiosity. No, there's always a reason. It's because there's a fear of what? Losing me again. So I'm telling you this story not just because it's a story and it's fun to hear. It's because there's a reason. There's like, you yourself, like I myself had to work through, like, why am I afraid of a brighter light? Why am I keeping my light dimmer? Because what? In the past, I've been killed and punished for my light. In the past, when my powers were stronger, I was more visible. So you, my dear, have that similar program. And it's no wonder that people like you come to me because I know how to help you. I didn't just read it in a book and woke up and said, okay, I know exactly what to tell you. I lived through it, like literally multiple lifetimes. And I'm sure maybe, I don't know, maybe you knew me and we were Vikings in a past life. we were on Team Valerie. Okay, so let me see what else. Yeah, I'm picking up. It's like your soul is this like divine, like lighthearted, like joyous energy that just she just wants to fly free. She just wants to like just like breathe. Like literally my neck just cracked. Like I'm cracking my neck vicariously through you. And what does neck have to do? Neck has to do with being able to view each situation from more than one angle.
I can do that. I kind of chalk it up to being a middle child, that I was the baby. So I have twin sisters, and I was a baby for 6 years. And then 10 years later, my brother came along, and then I was a middle child for about, like 4 or 5 years until my sisters moved out. And then I was the oldest when they had moved out, and it's just me and my brother. So yeah, I feel like I've always been able to like look at all the sides. So, and being a dental hygienist, I always have like neck problems.
So that's good that you can, but I feel like there are still more ways. Because remember, like, what am I afraid to see?
Yeah.
So because that's why you have the pain. Like, why did I have the pain? Why did I have the car accident that caused the bulging disc in my neck? How many past lives was I hung, had my head chopped off, and also like rigid way of thinking in this life where, my family was like, okay, you're an immigrant, you must be either a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist, like that's it. Like you have to be our like example of, and I'm like, nope. Tried medical, tried law, and I'm like, it's not for me. Like I just feel like there's something else. Like I just feel like there's something else. Nothing wrong with trying, nothing wrong with any of the jobs that we do, but most of us who choose these positions, even dental, it's because we have a calling to be more, to do more. We just don't know because no one tells us there is another way. In my wildest dreams, if you told me I would be in Scotland, or I would be able to just go and spend, 3 weeks in Spain, or I could just go to Bali, or I could, like, if you told me that, I would be like, well, how? Literally the first thing I would ask, be like, how? Because I wouldn't be able to conceptualize it. But how did it happen? Because I didn't focus on the how. What I did was work on internally, and then everything just came into alignment. But eventually I had to make the decision, I'm going to stop selling homes because that's what's keeping me in a certain geographical location. Yes, I can have, agents on the ground, boots on the ground, and negotiate no matter where I'm from, but still it's a more 3D thing. So I'm telling you this because at some point you are going to have to take a leap of faith and not feel like you need that like biweekly paycheck. But until then, you can leverage it to step into your dream life more and to have that be your wings so that you can fly even higher. But most people focus on the how so much that they get lost in the how, overthinking, left brain, and they never get there, or it takes forever to get there. So when I launched my academy, right before I decided That's it. Like I'm just not going to manifest anyone calling me to sell their home or to help them buy a home because I don't want those distractions. But in the beginning it was okay because I actually used that business to grow this business.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when the world shut down, I was just doing a ton of free sessions. But when I was running the ads, my real estate career was paying for that. So I was grateful. I was grateful to have that because back then there was no reels going viral. Now it's so easy. You don't need to spend money on ads. You know, if you're selling your book, if you're like, there's so many ways to creatively promote your books without even being signed by a major publisher. You know, most publishers nowadays, if not all, they want to know how many followers you have. They want to know like what kind of content you're creating. So sometimes it's not even worth it. You might as well self-publish if you're gonna, you know, because if you do the math, like on what you give them, like what are they gonna do for you, right? No, they want to know what you're gonna do for them. It's like they want to know how much money you're gonna make them, you know? So it all comes down in the end, like money. But then people go, oh, it's all about the money. Well, guess what? Money is just energy. That's all it is. It's energy. So what energy are you willing to contribute to receive that energy? Not to bring them up again, but every time I would interact with this particular soulmate, I somehow would start mirroring his money blocks because he has major money blocks. And so I finally resolved that because he keeps repeating the story. Like every time I save money, all of a sudden an expense, my car broke down. The wind turned my bike over, and this happened, and this happened. And so it's like, well, you keep repeating that story, you know? And so there's a certain program that's running. So through releasing the past life trauma, because where is that coming from? Not feeling worthy of abundance, root chakra and all that. But what's the main? Heart chakra. And if the heart chakra is blocked, green, more green. If the heart chakra is blocked, you're not able to receive. And so if we release the blockage in the heart, the grief of losing me in that lifetime, nothing ever works out for me. Anytime I experience love, love means loss. Do you see like all these patterns? And then guess what? That's the same pattern that repeats with money. Every time I make money, it's okay to spend the money because money is meant to do what? Circulate. Like how many times, having been an ex-refugee, I would catch myself saving half a cotton ball or, you know, all these things. Because, you know, when I was a child in the war, I was recycling candles. We were recycling foil because foil was like it was like gold, like you couldn't find it.
Yeah.
You know, and so what is that doing? That's telling you what? We don't have enough. We have to save. Obviously, no one's telling you to go. Like I had a client tell me like, you know, about spending habits. And I remembered how my cousin told me her husband's first wife, she would go out and buy a $5,000 purse and buy it in every color. That's obviously just stupid. That's not wise spending. You know, no one's telling you to go do something like that, right? So okay, so I know we kind of like went much longer than anticipated. Any questions before I tap into a past life really quick?
I guess right now because I did self-publish my book and I'm waiting. I have a contract for them to sell it outright to a private traditional publisher, and then I applied for a grant and I'm waiting to hear. I should hear this week for my LLC. So I feel like I have I'm just in the waiting for opportunity. Like I feel like I do that. Like I put in a lot of energy and then I try for these opportunities and I just wait. And
so what I'd like to see is for you to shift from waiting to creating, to aligning, to choosing. And choosing has to do with what? Solar plexus, making decisions easily. So all you have to do is to choose. So, so let me see what comes up, but I have a feeling we're probably gonna connect. So, so yeah, so you can message me after this. I don't know if I have your name in my email list, so just message me. The best way to reach you, and we can schedule a time to chat privately. So that way I can see, like, okay, like, because I technically stopped doing single sessions, but sometimes I make an exception. But if you decide, like, we'll talk about it, and then that way we can kind of assess, like, what is it that you need, what's in your highest and best, because you quite literally can quantum jump and get things done so much quicker if we just release all this yucky stuff. Like, it's like like a spiritual detox.
Right.
Let me see. I just had a visual where you're like, this crown is too heavy. Yeah, you're like, I literally just do like, I see you going, this crown is too heavy, and you're like trying to take it off. So let me tap in what that's all about. Yeah, you and I almost said this earlier, and you already know what I'm gonna say. It's like you feel like when there's more success, more attention, there's gonna be more responsibilities, and you're not sure if you're ready for it. Like, you feel like you are, but at the same time you're like, can I handle all that?
Yeah, I was just thinking, if I do get that grant, then I want to make an app platform, like utilize a platform. And I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a lot of work, but okay, I might have to take days off work to do it. But okay, well, I have time off for 4th of July. And
so do you see what's happening? What are you doing
Yeah.
right now? What are you doing right now? You're doing what? You're thinking about the how.
Fitting it in. Yeah.
And that's where everybody gets stuck.
Yeah.
When I was getting off the plane coming back from Scotland last July, after I did my healing tour for my clients, I was in economy plus because I never really cared about, like, I'm fine, like, I can move around, I can get up, like, I never cared about, like when people go business class, I'm like, that's such a waste of money, like, that is such a waste of money. That's what I used to think. That was my belief program. Okay. And so the flight was so utterly uncomfortable, like my bones, everything. I was just like, I can't, like, and I knew I was going to be, coming back a couple months later, or a month and a half. And as I was exiting the plane, I was like, I don't care how, I am coming back business class. Like, I'm not getting on this plane. It was British Airways, unless it's business class. And I was like, whatever, like, I'll pay for it. I don't care. And I'm not going to give the details, but let's just say I got a free business class upgrade. Okay. And it was a total matrix glitch. $2,500 that I never paid for. What did I do? I detached from the how. I'm like, I literally said, I don't care how.
Yeah.
But it's happening. What did I do? I made a decision. Okay. So, but I've also done a ton of releasing. Like I found out that because in a past life, people took what I taught them and used it for bad. That's why it took me so long to launch my academy. That's why I kept it to a smaller circle instead of doing marketing and getting more people involved. Do you see? It's like, it is okay. Well, there are belief programs of as long as I have enough, I'm good. And most people are like, yeah, you have to work hard. As long as I have a roof over my head, I don't want to be greedy. It's much easier to have more than enough than just enough.
Yeah.
So that's all we need to do is we need to, so the vision that I had of like this crown is too heavy. I picked up on that earlier where you're like, you're afraid of all the responsibilities. Just like your husband's like, I'm going to go golfing. And you're like, well, I want to golf too. Like, hello, take me with you. And guess what? if you continue to stay stuck in the how, you're going to keep repeating that, and it's like looping, right? So to get you to quantum jump, we need to let go of the how and literally matrix glitch you into whatever your highest potential, highest lifeline is. So let's see what else comes in. And then anyone else, if you wish to have a similar remote viewing, please put in heart emojis in the comment so I know who to choose next. So let me see. And like I usually do a couple people, or last time, I don't know how I did it. I went for 2 hours and 40 minutes or maybe 2.5 hours, almost roughly, and 4 people. And I never usually do that many. And I don't know how it happened, but it happened. So, okay, but clearly energetically, we're good on time right now with you. So let me see. Yeah, because in that lifetime, obviously you were a queen, you saw a lot. There was a lot of bad, there was a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of decisions, and you weren't able to be fully in your feminine energy. So guess what? That's a program that can be released where you can be in your full high potential and still be in your feminine energy. Because most women who do something responsible end up going too much into the masculine. And that's what you don't want to do.
Okay.
You don't want to wear the pants. So message me so we can go deeper, because the whole point is to find out why and what else needs to be released. Any other questions?
No. No, it's just my dog wants to say hi.
I had a feeling you had a dog. I was like, I could feel her energy or hear.
Yeah, there's two.
There's two. They're protecting you. They're like the queen. The queen must be protected. So cute.
Servant to who though, but yeah.
You know what? You take turns. Several past lives, soulmate energy, protection, and it's interesting because I literally was telling a client the other day, like dogs, they feel the energy because I'm always in theta, and they want to be close. I had people's cats literally walk in front of, like, sit on the computer.
Oh yeah.
Or fall asleep, because pets, animals, and not that I'm comparing babies to animals, but they're in the theta brainwave. Like up until age 7, you as a child were in the theta brainwave. So if you have children, they're in the theta brainwave until age 7. So it's easier to learn another language, and it's easier to also it's like they're constantly in hypnosis. So anything they hear, it's being programmed, and it's being programmed into the core genetic. Okay, so anything from the time you were in the womb, and anything your mother hears or anyone else says around her, you're absorbing it. Up until 2 seconds ago, whatever you tell yourself, it's brain programming. But then you have ancestral, then you have genetic DNA, and then you have soul imprints. So when I remotely view and we release, it's not just on the brain, it's also on all the other levels, and resolving it on the history level. Because if we don't do that, that's why people go, oh, I'm listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations. Why isn't it working? Because we need to also address the other levels, not just the brain. So brain rewiring can eventually rewire your DNA after a certain amount of time. But once again, if the programs are in the ancestral or soul levels, no matter how much brain rewiring and DNA you do, it's not going to rewire the other stuff. And then what happens is you'll feel good for a while. You're like, okay, I'm in this healthy new habit. I'm meditating, But then you, like the smallest trigger, you're going to look back. Oh, the grant got rejected. Oh, the grant got approved. Oh, I have to do that. It's like now, and then you loop.
Yeah.
So the whole point is to get you into alignment, so that way you're manifesting that which is in your highest and best. And then it's just easy and you're just flowing easier. By the way, I meant to ask you, but I forgot. Do you recall your dreams? Do you remember your dreams? Your dreams?
Some of them, yeah.
So typically after even just one session with me, your dreams come back more and then they just keep coming back. Not coming back because you're always having them. It's just you start to remember more because dreams are in what? The theta brainwave. And the bridge alpha, as the alpha brainwaves increase, the bridge between the conscious subconscious increases. So as you remember more dreams, you are tapping in more into your alpha, which is also part of how you are tapped into your higher self. So it's like alpha and theta. And so then everything manifests much faster. And you don't have to question the how, you just trust and you just flow. Like I was did you hear about the blackout in Spain?
Yeah.
Everybody heard about like all of Spain, all of Portugal, some of France, I was there. I think I sent an email. So if you're on my email list, you got it. I was there. And you know what's interesting? Last time I was in Spain in October, I was supposed to, I took extra clothes. I took my podcast mic because I'm like, I'm going to stay an extra week after the conference. The night before the 25th, I got my intuitive hit saying, book your flight for tomorrow. You're leaving. You're not staying an extra week. Book my flight the next morning, literally 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Came back 2 days later, major flooding in Malaga and Valencia. This time, I was supposed to fly out on April 28th. My flight was at 11:55. Guess when the power grid shut down? 11:33. 22 minutes before my flight. And you know what's interesting? 11:55. You know your name and numerology. My Anna 1551 and 11:33. Keep going. So what would have happened if intuitively the night before I didn't say, you know what? I love it here. I've never been here. I want to spend 9 more nights and change my flight and paid a pretty heavy fee because, you know, it was a busy time, whatever. And so I changed my flight. And so I didn't have to get up to whatever. I didn't have to pack. So I woke up that morning, the 28th, and I was like, oh, another day in Spain. But something said you're stuck here. And I'm like, why do I feel like I'm stuck here? I chose to stay more. But my soul's like, you're stuck here. So I get up, I go to brush my teeth, no water. Turn on the light, no light. Try to use my phone, no phone. Okay, I can't cook my steak. Let me go out to eat. I come out. Oh, it's a power grid. It's the apocalypse. But do you see? And so if I would have flown that, if I would have gone to the airport in my taxi, I would have been stuck on the plane for hours in that super uncomfortable Jet 2 seat because Jet 2 doesn't have business class. It's like a Southwest. So I would have been stuck on the plane 4 hours. So last time it was leave now. The flood was coming. This time it was like, don't leave because you'll be stuck. So how did that happen? Because you're in alignment. So and then when that happened, I didn't go like, well, what's going to happen? Like, how am I going to, I was like, oh, I have enough cash to buy water, to buy some whatever I needed to buy. And some dude was trying to get money out of an ATM, complete stranger. I gave him water. He helped me carry. I bought him some water because he had no cash. So like, I didn't go like, how am I going to get out of here? Like I was ready for a 2-3 day blackout. I'm like, I'm a refugee from Armenia. We lived in a dark winter with no heat and recycled candles, you know, under 10 blankets and 5 sweaters. So I'm like ready for whatever. At least I have a pool and a barbecue here, thank God. And people are chill. So you trust that everything is working out and you don't allow the external world to trigger you. You are staying balanced internally. Anyway, we will continue this conversation. I look forward to chatting with you more. And thank you for your trust.
Thank you.
And if you don't have my guided meditation, make sure to remind me, and I'll send it to you again, because that's really going to help you.
Okay.
Okay, lots of love. Okay, take care. Thanks. Thank you. Let me see. It should let you end it. So let's see if you can exit. If not, let me see if I can do it. There must be a way. Let's see. I know how to do it. I've done it before. It should let you just exit out. How do I do it? I always forget how to do it. I know there's a way. Da, 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 da. Okay, it's not for some reason letting me.
I'll just jump off.
Just close your app. Yeah, because you don't. Yeah, you can always come back if you want to keep listening, but just close your app and it will let you come off. Lots of love. Thank you. All right, here we go. So I feel like I do have enough time to maybe do one more, depending on how things go. So does anyone else want to have a remote viewing of their subconscious mind? If not, we can always do it another day, because to be honest, I am just a tad tired. Okay, so if anyone wants to volunteer, just put heart emojis in the comment, heart emojis in the comment box, and I will go ahead and bring you up. But obviously, as you witnessed, you will need to be on camera. So if you're comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with that and you'd like to work privately with me, then go ahead and send me a private message and we will take it from there. So I do want to mention some of the highlights from this session. So what I did was I remotely viewed her subconscious mind, and I was able to tap in to old belief programs that are keeping her stuck in this lifeline. So the entire point of tapping into your subconscious and viewing your subconscious remotely is to find out what is keeping you stuck and where did it come from. And so then when we release things on the subconscious level, so for example, with her, even though we didn't particularly go through the specific downloads, I already subconsciously was releasing them for her, because she understood that if I choose to align with my highest potential, that means there are more responsibilities, and I am not sure if I'm ready for more responsibilities. And so what we do in this situation is we download, I know what it feels like to align with a present, joyous, healthy lifeline, and to step into my highest potential without fear, without judgment, and with ease and with joy. And so you are choosing, you're not creating, you're actually just choosing a lifeline of joy and abundance. So I am going to wrap up the session, but if you would like to receive my guided healing light meditation, go ahead and message me, or you can request it from the link in my bio, and you will automatically be added to my email list so that you can be notified the next time I do this Instagram live. So it's been a pleasure doing this today. I believe this is the first time where I'm doing just one person, because energetically I'm feeling an alignment to just end it at just about roughly an hour. So I will announce the next one. It will probably be on a Thursday next time. So make sure to go to the link in my bio or directly to healingmanifest.com. And you are more than welcome to message me here on Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love. And we're going to end here on YouTube as well. And I did post my website link here, and I'm also going to post the link to apply to my Conscious Agent Academy. If you would like to learn to do what I do and heal others as well as yourself, you can go to applycaa.com, and I will review your application and then I will set up an interview. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to the next one.